Hi there, you beautiful being. Sunflower here, and welcome to Unfolding Sunny. This is space where we breathe, bloom, and become. Where grief is not something to fix, but it's something to feel. It's something to hold and to hold well. This is where softness is power, and healing has many, many, many shapes. Here we'll sit with our stories, the tender ones, the messy ones, and the magical ones. You'll find reflections on loss and life after, moments of ritual, rest, joy, and quiet resistance. Together, we'll explore practices for rooting deeper, rising higher, and living sacredly, even in seasons of uncertainty. Whether you're navigating change, nurturing your spirit, or simply longing for a softer way to be, you're welcome here, just as you are. This is not about being perfect. It's about unfolding. So let's take a deep breath in through our nose and slowly out through our lips. Now, let's begin unfolding together. Unfold with me on my first solo international adventure to Oaxaca, Mexico. I packed everything I own, aside from my instruments and my dog, mi perrito, his name is Simba. And I booked this one-way flight to this quaint beach town called Puerto Escondido. My inner child asked for safety, so I arranged for transportation. As soon as I hopped off that flight, I felt safe and secure with my Airbnb host. We communicated through the Airbnb app a few times before I landed, so I felt safe. I felt rooted and grounded. And you may ask, why Puerto Escondido? First of all, YouTube University put me on, but I needed somewhere quaint. I needed somewhere soft to land, to be, to recover. But before I get into all of that, my inner child wants to express deep gratitude and trust in us. So thank you. I receive. We had pesos on deck, debit cards and phone use prepped for international travel. Our financial budget was intact, and honestly, arriving on Mexican soil felt liberating. Thank you to me for taking the action. A little bit about Puerto Escondido. It's a port town on Mexico's Pacific coast in the state of Oaxaca. It's known for its many beaches and buzzing nightlife. I also want to put a plug in there that the wellness community is thriving, because nightlife really ain't for me anymore. No shade, but it just ain't. So it's really the perfect balance of relaxation and adventure. It's a surfer's paradise, and many arrive on vacation only to find themselves calling Puerto home, staying 2, 4, 10 years on a one-way flight. For me, it was truly the perfect place to unmask and rest without spectators, commentaries, or the crabs at the bottom of the bucket. Here, I've arrived to my Airbnb, and I'm settling in. Everything you see here is what I own. And one thing that I practice as I root into my sense of self is to settle in. It's necessary for comfort. It took me about 2 hours to settle in. And within that time frame, I am sure I experienced about 30, maybe 40 different emotions. Relief, sadness, joy, excitement, calm, curiosity, and awe are just a few to name. I mean, can you imagine being the first in your lineage to do some shit? To take a one-way flight out the country solo dolo. Can you imagine? At my big age of 32, I had to do this for myself. See, I've always been the trailblazer, the one who paves the path that others pull inspiration from or downright walk altogether. So booking this one-way flight not only took bravery, it took focus, grit. And I really needed this trip to be with myself. Not alone, but with myself. See, myself needed to know that I was capable of leaving my country and thriving. Before now, I traveled with groups, friends, and partners, really refraining from much mental or physical load. When someone else plans, I sit back and I shut off, baby. However, rooting in ritual takes practice in different environments. Reclaiming my sense of free will and autonomy meant that I had to take this trip. And oof, the feels. For over a month, this room was my sanctuary. It's often where I met myself deeply, authentically. And here you can see me preparing my altar space. Yeah, you can have an altar wherever you are. It doesn't have to be this big, fancy, traditional thing. But I brought a few pieces that really meant something significant to me. So I'm wondering what your altar space looks like. What reminds you of your soul essence, of your reason why? On this current altar space, I have a picture of my inner child when she was about 6 or 7, I would say. She's in a dance outfit, and oh my word, was she present with me? I experienced ayahuasca for the first time on this trip, and that version of myself, she met me deeply. That's a whole different video for a different day. However, I really connected with myself. I reclaimed the innocence that was stolen from me through experiences of grief, through life transitions, through shame, guilt, judgment. This trip was about shedding the layers and just being. Especially in Western culture, we mask up. We mask up to be whatever society needs us to be, especially for that coin. We're gonna put on the voice, we're gonna put on the fit, and we'll put on the smile. So that way we can have this American dream with the house and the fence and the family. And at a pretty young age, I was able to acquire all of that and recognize that there was still something missing. I had the job, I had the house, I had the family. And through life transitions, specifically my father's physical death, becoming a parent overnight, losing myself through the duties of a wife as it relates to, societal standards, I lost myself in the thick of all of those transitions at once. And so I ask you, as we are unfolding together, who are you outside of the titles? Who are you outside of the roles that you play in your family, the roles that you play in your friendships, the roles that you play at that job, in your community? Who are you? Thinking about this in a spiritual context, we have to remember that we are souls living a human experience. We are souls first, living this human ass experience. So when we release ego, how does your soul speak? What lights you up from the inside out? It's really okay if you don't know the answer, because I'm telling you, I had no idea. As you see me here, I was on a quest to remember. And my desire to remember and reclaim was so much greater than any fear, any worry, any hesitancy on doing this with myself. One tool that I would love to give you, and it's the hardest one. I'll be honest, it's taken me about 3 years to really root into this tool. But it's living a life of flow. And if you know me, you know that's probably one of my favorite words, flow. How do you honor the ebbs and the flows of your life with ease? How do you release enough control to co-create with the universe? When life be lifing, how do you lean into surrender versus staying stuck in an emotion? That's really what flow is about. Going with, not against. So maybe pause here and reflect. What's something going on in your life that you've been going against, not with? And I'll give you an example. For a while, I was going against the grain of being burnt the fuck out. I was exhausted with that job. I was exhausted with my life as I created it. I was a control freak. No judgment, right? For many of us, myself included, control is a sense of safety because we know what's next. We can expect what's happening next because we are the ones in control. And living a soul-led life means that we are so secure in the universe and its creative energy that we don't have to know what's next. We trust ourselves enough to discern and act accordingly once we arrive in the next. So presence is key. Being fully aware and immersed in the present moment is how we maximize our creative energy. And that, my friend, takes flow. Because when we are in the flow, we are in the present moment, We're keen, we're discerning, and we take decisive action with all that's in the present moment. Easier said than done, easier said than done. But for me, it took slowing down to even become aware of the present moment. And coming to Puerto Escondido absolutely helped me slow down even more. Before arriving, I would wake up at 6 a.m., engage in meditation, some type of movement practice, and then I'm hitting it hard with my to-dos. I'm in those meetings, I'm documenting my client sessions from the day before, I'm running the errands, I'm going to the appointments, I'm reaching out to friends, I'm doing all the things. And while that sounds like the adult thing to do, it still didn't leave enough space for me to listen to my soul, for me to remember and recover parts of me, specifically related to my joy, that were lost in the sauce of life transitions. See, one thing that the American dream doesn't explicitly talk about is joy. While we're grinding, getting the degree, working the job, 8, 10, 12-hour days, 4 or 5 days a week, when do we have space for joy? Because by that time, we are tired as fuck. I just want to sleep. Vacation me, please. And that vacation serves as respite to then come back and do it all over again. But what does sustainable joy look like? What does sustainable joy feel like? How can we cultivate that on a daily or even weekly basis? I came to Puerto Escondido to find out for myself. And so here I'm leaving my room, enjoying the pool, the amenities of my beautiful home. And oftentimes I met myself here on my mat to feel, to sense, and to claim whatever the day was going to be for myself. That's also another tool. When I wake up and I rise, I meet myself every day. And then together we choose what the day will be. There's no sense in making a to-do list for tomorrow. That's not presence. And so as I arrived on the first day here, after I unpacked, I explored the town just a little bit. I went to La Punta for dinner. And it was so sweet not to feel alone. I enjoyed the view. I enjoyed the heat. I enjoyed la comida. Had tacos, guacamole, a nice non-alcoholic beverage. I even heard Michael Jackson on the first night there. And if you know, you know, Michael Jackson is one of the signs that my dad sends me. Energy can never die, so when we have a loved one who physically leaves this realm, we can ask for signs and they will deliver. So here I am just enjoying my stroll back to my home, feeling so safe in my body, which then allowed me to feel completely safe in my environment. Las personas de la país are so friendly, so helpful, so welcoming. There was never a point where I felt unsafe. Even walking the streets at night. I 10 out of 10 recommend that you take a solo trip.
Okay, un minuto.
God will meet you there. and you will meet God within. You will remember your soul essence, and you will affirm those things in your life that are working while also having space to release what's no longer serving you. So stay tuned as we go deeper. See you in the next episode.